Mark Lloyd-Bottom, National Director of Christian Financial Compass, and I'd now like to spend some time talking about the subject of giving. Now, you've probably heard quite a few sermons on giving, so I'm not going to add to that list, but what I would like to do is to say that what we have been sharing in these messages is that the Bible tells us that God owns everything. And if there's one question I've been asked more than any other, it's the question as to whether we should tithe. And I realised that eventually it's actually the wrong question, because the tithing question kind of sort of comes at me, and the attitude is, do I have to give 10% to God? And so the first thing we need is a revelation that everything belongs to God. Now, do you know, that is not easy to get hold of. I think it took me at least 2 or 3 months. And eventually what I did with some of my working papers in my office was to take all those things that I owned, added up the value, and on my spreadsheet, my final line was less, deduct everything that belongs to God. And so I now know that my personal net worth is nothing. But you know, one of the problems of seeing of things that are mine is that, well, let me demonstrate it by an example. I have here a £1 coin. Now, if I grip my fist very tightly, and very, very tightly, there is nothing anybody can do to get that £1 coin out of my hand. Now, you might say, yes, I know a way, but I've done this in churches and I've taught this in many lessons, and no one has ever managed to get this £1 coin out of my hand. I am holding my hand tightly because it's mine. But you know, equally, if we were to perhaps then take, and this is a £10 note, and if we were to try and put that note into a clenched fist, we'd find out that no matter what you do, it's not possible to put that note into my hand because my hand is clenched. Well, what do we learn from that? It's simply this: it is more blessed to give than receive. You see, the thing is, if we hold on to that which we say is ours, we do not have an open hand from which we can receive from the Lord. And so it's important that whatever we are stewards of, that we hold these things lightly. Do you know, one of my pastors once said this, and I have never forgotten what he said. He simply said this: we are never more like Jesus than when we're giving. Yes, I would encourage you to give of your first fruits. If your giving comes at the very end of your budget, you may end up just not giving, or you may just end up giving the few coppers that are in your pocket. Do you know, I believe there are 5 types of giving. The first type of giving is what I call invisible money. It's the money that you receive, but it's not actually yours. I call that the tithe, 10% of your income. And then the second type of giving is the money that you find when you look into the bottom of your pocket or the bottom of your handbag. It's the loose change that you've got. You know, you empty your pockets into the offering and you give all that you have, but it's just the small change. The third type of giving is when you open your wallet or your purse in your handbag and you give generously out of that which is in your wallet. The fourth type of giving I call checkbook money. You know, when you sort of get your checkbook and you're writing out a check to the church or to someone you believe who is in need. And the fifth type of giving is serious giving. Where is your giving? You know, what giving does for you is it tells you that you have enough. At some point in time, we have to decide when enough is enough. The world will tell you enough is never enough. I lived for a few months in America in 2007. They have a tabloid newspaper called USA Today. And at the bottom of that newspaper, they run a little survey. In November 2007, the survey asked those people who earned $50,000, how much would they like to have to be comfortable? Their answer? They wanted to have $75,000. In other words, 50% more. That same question was asked of those who had an income of $100,000. Their answer to the question was $250,000. You see, enough is never enough. Money is like seawater. You know, the more you have, the thirstier you get. It's only when we start thinking the way that God intends us to think. We talked about the fact that there are 2,300 verses in the Bible. Why is there so much in the Bible about the handling of finance? It's because God always knew that our finances would compete with our love for Him. It's my desire in sharing this message with you that you'd want to study more about what the Bible says about giving, more about getting out of debt, more about contentment, more about work, more about eternity. I'm just so privileged to be allowed to be the director of Christian Financial Compass. Have a look on our website and see the studies we have. We have personal studies, family studies, we have devotionals, church studies. The one I really love is the Bible on Money, published in 2013. This is just a study that is tailor-made for every single church small group. I commend it to you and thank you for listening to what we have to share about what the Bible says about money, wealth and possessions.